There are, of course, continuing uncertainty about archery and shooting, and we now need to await for the outcome of consideration by the Commonwealth Games Federation. But can the Minister just confirm, so there's absolute certainty about this, that if the Federation does agree to allow archery and shooting events to take place in India, then it will be the Indian Olympic Committee that will have full responsibility for all of the costing, and there'll be no additional costs have to be borne by the Birmingham 2022 committee.
But the important issue is that the medals, both in archery and shooting, will, I understand, contribute towards the Commonwealth Games medal tally. The formal proposal is with the Commonwealth Games Federation. I understand that will be considered in the beginning of, well, actually February the 20th and 21st, if I'm not mistaken. If that is the case, it will give us time in committee stage to look at the outcome to that. But it is vitally important that for all of those amongst your lordships who have lobbied hard for a solution to the possibility of what was then on the table as an Indian boycott, coming as it does from a nation which is a close member of the Commonwealth Games family, a likely host country of future games, and in the wider post-Brexit world a key trading partner in the United Kingdom in the future, that this should absolutely not happen. And I hope that my noble friend the Minister can place on record in the very strongest terms her support for a solution to this problem, which above all is a solution for the athletes. Shooting has been in every Games, if I recollect rightly, since 1974. I may be wrong on that, but certainly throughout most of my recollection of the Commonwealth Games. It is great to see T20 cricket, para table tennis and beach volleyball as the three optional sports, but we absolutely need to sort out the challenge that is faced at the moment for the absence of both shooting and archery, and I hope we can fully endorse and accept and persuade those who make the final decision the Indian recommendation to the Commonwealth Games Federation.
My Lords, the Commonwealth is a wonderful voluntary organisation, an institution with 54 countries, and now 54 because the great news that Maldives have rejoined the Commonwealth on the 1st of February, 1 hour after we left the European Union. Of course, the CWG, the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that takes place regularly, is a big event in the Commonwealth calendar, and the Commonwealth Games, every 4 years, bring together the community, the family of nations and territories, 72 nations and territories of the Commonwealth. They're hugely important to the host city, in this case Birmingham, the host country, the UK, and the whole of the Commonwealth of 2.4 billion people, over 1/3 of the world's population. But, my Lords, let's put it into perspective. The whole of the Commonwealth, the UK's proportion of trade with the whole of the Commonwealth, it makes up less than 10% of the UK's trade. 50% is with the EU, 18% with the United States. The Commonwealth Games Federation and their Chief Executive, David Bremenberg, have produced an excellent report, Commonwealth Sport Transformation 2022 Refresh. The report talks about a refreshed vision, mission, values and strategic priorities for the Commonwealth Games leading up to 2022. Talks about a refreshed process. This has to be more about a movement than a federation. It's our commitment to inclusion and equality that sets us apart. The progress to date, as has been mentioned before, the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games provided a $2.5 billion boost, an economic boost to the state. Strengths, the Commonwealth builds on its history, 21 games and 6 youth games since 1930. This is tremendous. The mission is delivering inspirational sporting moments, nurturing a powerful sporting movement, activating transformational partnerships, realising our collective impact. So the work that we do in these games goes far beyond the values, humanity, equality, destiny. And it's about delivering inspirational sporting moments, nurturing a powerful sporting movement, activating transformational partnerships. This is what these games are all about, and realising our collective impact. And the most important thing is the Commonwealth athletes, over 6,000 mentioned, are going to be participating. They're inspiring leaders. They're agents of change. They're advocates for integrity. They're ambassadors for respect, impartiality and non-discrimination. And to Commonwealth athletes, sport is more than just competition. Sport is just the beginning. Sport connects them to all of us with dreams, goals and aspirations for ourselves, our families and our communities. And we've heard many of the facts in the debate that the Birmingham Western region will benefit from almost £800 million, over $1 billion of sport investment, the biggest since London Olympics 2012, brand new aquatic centre, redeveloped athletic stadium, 1,400 new homes, a global audience of 1.5 billion, showcasing Birmingham and the West Midlands and the UK to the rest of the world, 1 million tickets, 19 sports, but we'll come to that later, and 8 fully integrated para events across 11 days, and the first integrated and biggest ever para sports offering. And, as Baroness Crawley said, potential for more female medals than male. This would be a first for any major multi-sports event in history. And approximately 41,000 game time roles, 10,000 trained volunteers, and it goes on. The Birmingham City Council is putting in huge work with the Perry-Bar Interchange, the Sandwell Aquatic Centre, the Alexander Stadium, community engagement. And as Baroness Crawley mentioned again, the community champions are going to be engaged. And as the proud Chancellor of the University of Birmingham, we are delighted to be playing a major role in these games. In 2017, the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, opened our state-of-the-art £55 million sports centre with Birmingham's first 50-metre swimming pool. The University of Birmingham will play a major role in these games, hosting squash and hockey, and also providing volunteers, and the facilities will be used by athletes from around the world. Birmingham is the country's first civic university, and we have a civic universities agreement wherein we will be, the West Midlands Growth Company has been tasked by the West Midlands Combined Authority to develop a programme of tourism, trade and investment activity to maximise the benefits of the Commonwealth Games for the region and the UK. And the use of the Olympic Games by the Commonwealth Games for the University of Birmingham facilities, apart from squash, apart from hockey, will be also for the pool and track for pre-games training in the camp. Our students will volunteer, there'll be an education academic programmes, there'll be career engagements for student experiences, industry placements, summer internships, volunteering. This is phenomenal. And of course there will be the whole cultural aspect, a 22-day festival of sport and culture, 11 days of sport followed by 11 days of culture. And let's not forget, our powerhouse as a country, the UK, 1% of the world's population, we produce 16% of the world's leading research papers. This will be a huge opportunity for the university's research, headed by Professor Tim Stoff, who will be engaged to identify further research opportunities to link our academic strengths and interests to the Games. So, my Lords, I welcome this bill, the Birmingham Commonwealth Games Bill, and the original version was welcomed by John Crabtree, the chair of the Birmingham 22 Organising Committee, by Ian Ward, the Labour leader of Birmingham City Council, by my friend Andy Street, the Conservative Mayor of West Midlands, and by David Bremenberg, Chief Executive of the Commonwealth Games Federation. And the Commonwealth Games Federation, must remember, is actually responsible for this multi-sport event. In 2015, let's not forget, it awarded the 2022 Games to South Africa, to Durban. This would have been the first time the Games would have taken place in Africa, but then this was withdrawn in March 2017, and in December 2017 the Games were awarded to Birmingham. So Birmingham has won this, but has got shorter time to prepare for these Games than would normally be given to a country. So it is a huge challenge. And given this public investment, we've heard in the debate, 75% of the funding comes from central government, and I'm very grateful to the government for this, and 25% from Birmingham, and I'm grateful to Birmingham for the support as well. But there is one issue. There is one issue. The Noble Lord, Lord Monaghan, has touched on this, and that is that shooting, most people would not realise, is actually an optional sport to be included in the Commonwealth Games. And Birmingham decided to leave out shooting and archery. This is only the second time ever the shooting has been left out. And shooting is very important to countries like India, which makes up over half the population of the Commonwealth, 1.3 billion out of 2.4 billion. India now, which has overtaken the United Kingdom as the 5th largest economy in the world, a growing, emerging global economic superpower. It is by far now the biggest economy in the Commonwealth and one of the biggest economies in the world. It is India's participation in the Commonwealth at every level is fundamental. And yet, there was for a long time the potential that shooting was going to be boycotted. India was going to boycott the Commonwealth Games because of the exclusion of shooting. I've been in regular touch with Ian Reid, the Chief Executive Officer of the Games, John Crabtree, the Chairman, and a delegation from the Commonwealth Games Federation headed by Dame Louise Martin, Lord Moynihan has mentioned her before. The President of the CGF, along with David Grummenberg, the Chief Executive, visited India in November, and it was a hugely constructive visit, because as a result of that visit, they were able to see firsthand the legacy of the Commonwealth Games from Delhi in 2010, and they were able to prevent India from boycotting the Games. So India will be participating in 2022. However, the shooting solution still needs to be found, and this has been supported by India's Sports Minister, Kiran Rijiju, President of the National Rifle Association of India and Vice President of the International Shooting Federation, His Highness Crown Prince Raninder Singh of Patiala, the Indian Olympic Association Secretary Rajiv Mehta, the Indian Olympic Association President Narendra Batra. They're all very keen that shooting should be included in the Games. We, the host country, the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, we win lots of medals in shooting. Shooting enables smaller countries and territories such as the Falkland Islands to participate in the Games at all. And shooting is a game that crosses all ages, from teenagers to senior middle-aged people. And it is also gender inclusive. A meeting took place in December 2019 in Munich between the Commonwealth Games Federation and the ISSF, and a solution was put forward by India, a very innovative solution, because this was based on the vision statement of the Commonwealth Games, among other things, desiring the future of the Games to be inclusive, cost-effective, empowering local communities through the power of sport as a truly friendly game. The Indian bid meets the demand of all these points by suggesting an innovative and what they consider additionally a path-breaking proposal that I hope the Noble Lady the Minister will agree will ensure that shooting, a major Olympic sport, can be effectively, technically and cost-effectively held in the future if a host country cannot hold it in another country. And I'm delighted that this innovative and creative solution, which was officially put forward in Munich, where India will host shooting and archery, and the actual Games will be in Birmingham. So these events will take place in association with the Commonwealth Games as part of the overall Commonwealth Games, and as Lord Moynihan said, the medals to be included in the total tally. I've seen the detailed proposal put forward by India, where India will organise a shooting competition conforming strictly to the rules, with all the results being officially recognised globally, and India will fund the competition, including bringing the athletes from all over the world, from the Commonwealth, as well as hosting them. Given how important shooting is to India as a sport, where over 25% of medals won by India have been in shooting in previous Commonwealth Games, it is similarly important, for a number of reasons I mentioned, for the medal tally of many other countries, including ourselves here in the United Kingdom. And from an accessibility point of view, shooting is one of the handful of highest participation sports in the Commonwealth Games, as I said earlier, enabling tiny countries like the Falkland Islands to participate in the Games. And as I said earlier, inclusive in terms of men and women as mixed competitions and the spectrum of age from teenagers to middle-aged participants. But beyond these advantages of including shooting, having the competition being held in India has huge additional advantages. India is by far, as I said, the largest country in the Commonwealth by 1.3 billion. It makes up more than half the population of the country. The Indian economy continuing to grow, predicted to be the third largest economy in the world very soon. India is important to the Commonwealth, is therefore hugely disproportionate to other countries, and to have India on side in the future as a committed member of the Commonwealth family is paramount. If India had boycotted the Games, it could have threatened, in my opinion, the very existence of the Commonwealth going forward. And given that the Games are being hosted in the UK, the fact that it is India coming to the rescue when it comes to shooting will only help to build the bridges that already exist between the UK and India. And in my various roles, including as founding chairman of the UK-India Business Council, I would say that Britain has a special relationship with the United States and with India more than any other countries in the world. And the excellent Transformation 2022 Refresh report, which I've said, clearly the impact of the Commonwealth Games goes well beyond sport itself. Sport is just the beginning. By holding the shooting and archery competitions in India, so many positive messages will be sent out. It shows the Commonwealth family coming together in a positive way to resolve a predicament. It shows how Commonwealth countries work in partnership. It sets a precedent to have a flexible approach going forward, where host countries who may not have the ability to fund the full range of games can have the vast majority of the games held in the host country, but partner with other Commonwealth countries to host sports which they cannot afford or cannot practically host. And it gives a huge opportunity for the Games to be an anchor and a catalyst for many other bilateral engagements between the UK and India, including education, with Birmingham one of the 5 largest universities in the UK and top 100 in the world, we're not only going to be proud to host part of the Games, but we will also be at the centre of the Games. The Midlands is the home of one of the largest Indian origin populations in the UK, with large members coming from North India and Punjab. If the Games are to be shooting competitions that we held in Delhi or Chandigarh, this will be building on the living bridge that exists between our two countries, including within the 2 specific regions in the 2 countries. Punjab University, with the University of Birmingham, collaborates with in research. The statistics show that the field-weighted impact for collaborative research with the University of Birmingham and Punjab is more than double the university's individual cores, almost equal to the field-weighted impact when we conduct research with the University of Birmingham and Harvard University. So holding shooting will also be a huge help to businesses. And I would just conclude by saying they will be in association with the Games, with the medals must be included within the Games. So given the importance of technology and social media, shooting competitions can be broadcast live on the internet, and there could be a venue in Birmingham with people watching the competitions live. And I know they will put on a very impressive opening and closing ceremony for the Games, shooting part of the Games as well. So this is a truly win-win situation to what was a potentially disastrous situation. Would the Noble Lady the Minister please confirm that the government will support this Indian solution to this predicament, and the meeting of the CGF taking place on 21st and 22nd February will make that final decision. Would the government support this? And as I conclude, my Lords, the Commonwealth report said, the refresh report, that sport is just the beginning.
My Lords, I can't see any of the signage at Birmingham New Street Station. I'm at absolutely no disadvantage whatsoever. Can I say it's a delight that Birmingham have been awarded the Commonwealth Games? I'm delighted, but I also share the sadness for South Africa and the hope that someday soon the Commonwealth Games will indeed take place on the continent of Africa. I feel incredibly fortunate that I grew up in the shadow of Birmingham. I swam for 9 years at the City of Birmingham swimming squad, where from a 25-yard pool with the roof held up with scaffolding, we got 4 swimmers on the Paralympic team and 5 swimmers on the Olympic team for the Seoul Olympic Games and Paralympic Games in 1988 under the excellent coach Rick Bailey, who went on to do so much in leisure across the City of Birmingham. But it's not just about sport, it's the culture, as we've already heard about so many of the cultural high points from Lord Hunt of King's Heath. There's also fabulous culinary opportunities for people to experience the table naan bread and the Balti triangle, possibly washing much of it down with a glass or 2 of Lord Billamoria's Cobra beer. I was delighted to be part of the West Midlands. It shaped me as I grew up before I went away to higher education. Having mentioned Lord Billamoria's beer, I should also echo his comments and the comments of my noble friend Lord Moynihan and others when it comes to shooting and indeed archery, and ask the Minister what further efforts the government are making to ensure more than a satisfactory but an optimum solution, not least to shooting and archery. It's quite right that the Commonwealth Games Federation should look at new sports that attract the young people of the West Midlands and the country, and indeed the Commonwealth, but these are a Games for the Commonwealth. As Lord Billamoria said, shooting is such an integral sport across the Commonwealth, one of the highest levels of participation, not least across our home countries itself.
Noble Lord Billamoria, Lord Foster and my noble friend Lord Moynihan talked about shooting as part of the Commonwealth Games. The government very much welcomes the confirmation from the Indian Olympic Association that India will be taking part in the Games. We also welcome the proposal from India to the Commonwealth Games Federation for additional events for shooting and archery, and that the Federation is currently considering the proposal with its member associations and will then confirm its response to India. And I'm
so grateful to the noble lady for giving way. Thank the noble lady for that very positive response from the government to support India hosting shooting and archery. What I didn't make clear in my speech is, could the government also support that in future Commonwealth Games, shooting is not an optional sport, but is compulsory going forward?
I'm very happy to raise that with my honourable friend, the Minister for Sport in the other place, and make sure that he's aware of that suggestion. In fact, he's actually meeting with the Commonwealth Games Federation as we sit or stand here, discussing this very point, and I can confirm that the costs for that event will be met by the Indian Olympic Association.